If somebody came into your business today, a sugar daddy,
You could be a sugar mommy.
came in and said, here is $50K to grow your business, how would you do that?
Markets change. Like what worked in 2024 for some paid ads campaign may absolutely light money on fire in 2026. If you are in a position of, I need leads as soon as possible, spending on paid ads is probably going to make the phone ring the fastest.
It doesn't just stop when the lead comes in the door and you get them a quote. You need to understand, are you closing that lead?
If I can get to a point where I'm $1 in, $4 out, that can justify me continuing to spend other dollars outside of my magical 50K that I was given. Welcome to Entry&Exit. My name is Stephen Olmon, and this is my handsome counterpart. Just trust me if you're listening. He's very handsome. Collin Trimble, he's my business partner and my co-host. And we also run Alarm Masters, which is a security company in Texas. And on this podcast, we try to provide you with practical, tactical advice on how to grow and scale your business.
You have any comments on my hat today? I know that you are really a huge fan of this hat.
Guys, this flat bill thing he looks like a 16-year-old baseball player in East Texas. It's just absolute bumpkin, but
yeah.
No, it's super cool. It's
cool. No,
Yeah,
we're killing it.
Very cool. Your wife loves it.
Yeah, we're killing it. All right, we're jumping in. We have kind of an interesting concept today. We were kind of spitballing on what would be an interesting take on how to talk through growth in your business. And so here's the whole concept. If somebody came into your business today, some benevolent overlord in your words, and said, a sugar daddy.
It could be a sugar mommy.
a business sugar mommy.
Yeah, sure.
Came in and said, here is $50K to grow your business. How would you do that? And we're going to talk about our opinions. And we actually aren't 100% aligned on what we would do on this. I mean, just on this like theoretical kind of fun, like we've 50K to burn, kind of more untested type stuff. So we're gonna talk through that. You're gonna hear a lot of Steven's opinions because he's our digital marketing guru, and he's got a lot of opinions on that. And then there's a couple sales things in there that I got some hot takes on. But and we have not like truly prepped before this, so I'm interested to see some of the things that Steven would call out on where he'd place his 50K. So Steven, to kick it off, where would you take your 50K, and where would you place those chips to grow the business?
My first hot take is that I would not place it all on one channel. I think that I really believe in testing in marketing, A, B, C, D, all of it. And it's never been easier to be more cost efficient with testing channels than it is today, in my opinion. It's not true of every single industry, every single business, but for us, like in the security industry, I think it is. I think there's a lot of things that you could test with this theoretical gift of $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
50,000 is a good number because we talk about percentage of marketing spend as a ratio of top line. So like a general rule that you'll see in a lot of sweaty kind of commercial service, home service businesses is, we'll say somewhere in the 4 to 10%. That's a big range. Certain home services especially just inherently require pushing even a little bit further probably as a ratio, but just due to competition, roofing can be, very expensive to spend in, that sort of thing. So if you think about $50,000, trying to do some quick math, if that was 10%, you're at 500K, you're, $1 million, roughly maybe 1.25 million top line. So this is kind of like almost thinking about a marketing budget for a pretty small business. In this scenario, we're talking about a test. Let's say that's just part of the marketing spend for the year. You've got some different options. Okay. So I'm going to lay out like some of the different options, and I'm going to quickly eliminate a few. So right off the top, I think social media is something that you could spend on. And I don't mean paid ads on a social channel, like running Instagram ads. I don't mean that. I mean like social, organic social.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, at this point, I'm really thinking about our business, security, life safety industry.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going there. If we were residential, we actually have a friend in the industry that makes really funny videos. If you want to, reach out, we'll send you a link to it. But he makes these really funny videos, but he's like all in on residential alarm. And so that could be a good use of time and energy and money. He's got
Yeah.
like a video production crew, like that's
Yeah.
on retainer. I mean,
I
that's
think
like
that's more than 50K, right? Like if you're doing that.
you could probably run that play for 50K or even a little bit
Yeah.
under a year. It just depends how much content you're producing.
Yeah.
You could get it done. But that to me, for us, especially if you are any meaningful percentage commercial,
Yeah.
starts to be less and less appetizing as an option.
Mm-hmm.
Another option, which I already mentioned, is paid ads. That's one of the three that I think we should probably dive into more.
Yep.
Another is SEO. SEO is changing a lot. Obviously, with
Hashtag AI.
a big hashtag AI, a big shift of search. Like Google's search volume is down double-digit percentage, quarter over quarter, the last 2 quarters, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. There's still a huge amount of search volume from just an absolute value perspective. So I don't think you ignore. I think it's just on an SEO perspective, right?
Yeah.
And there's a local SEO component we can talk about. How to be found on, ChatGPT and other kind of competing LLMs. And then another option would be like sponsorships. So think like local baseball team,
Bowling league. We know you like that.
bowling league, big bowler, big time. Call me the strike. I'm the strike king of the. Not, I'm awful at bowling. Put me on a ping pong table though.
Yeah.
I'll do well. So local sponsorships is another one that we know a lot of our friends do take advantage of. I think some of that's like a sizing thing. It's hard to get like your bang for your buck if you're only going to spend a little bit amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you're doing $2, $3, $4 million, should you be sponsoring baseball teams? Like it's a bit of a brand awareness luxury play. So, but that's one of them you could consider. That's probably not where I'm going to go. Also, cold outbound. That I'm a huge fan of cold outbound, as are you.
Yep. Yep.
What does that even mean? Like, you could send direct mail. Technically, could be cold.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Been there.
Been there, done that. Cold email, cold calling, like everything that is not a current customer or you don't have a touch point. There's no inquiry that they've provided. Like they are truly like a cold contact that you're reaching out to.
Yeah.
And then I would say another channel could be like trying to similar on the sponsorship side, but think more like less local sponsorships. Like you could sponsor podcasts and hey, it's relevant here. Newsletters. You could sponsor. You could even run TV. Like that's another channel. Again, that's probably like a dollar amount. Like 50K is probably not enough.
Production plus the actual cost to run the ad.
Yeah. So you need to be a little bit bigger and have a bigger budget there. But I have some friends that have done very well in TV. So that kind of is a nice smattering of potential options. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go kind of deep on paid media on my end, because there's some things I really love. And what I mean by paid media, paid ads, especially on Google,
like on Google, right? So just for the folks that don't know, like paid media would be like, hey, you go to type in alarm company in Google and the sponsored ads at the top.
Yeah.
You can obviously pay. It's like an
That's
auction
right.
to be able to get your company name listed up there. And so that's what he's referring to by paid media. Google's not the only one, but that's
correct. Yeah. So Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, like TikTok, like those are main platforms I'd consider potentially spending money on.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about paid media is it's a quick feedback loop.
Yeah.
Typically takes a few weeks for a campaign to get warmed up, but then within a month or so, you start to get an idea of like, does the dog want the food? Like, are these terms that we're spending money on getting real engagement? We're getting real leads. Like, you have an idea within, I would say, 30 to 60 days of how productive that channel might be for you and what you're trying to push, like what service or solution you're trying to push through those campaigns and in what geography.
Yeah.
So, if I'm trying to sell some like really sophisticated, AI video solution in like super rural Western Kentucky, shout out Western Kentucky,
Yeah.
that may not be as
Go
effective as
Hilltoppers.
it would be if I was in San Francisco.
Right.
You just so you have to take all that into consideration. But the nice thing is I spend money, I can quickly see data and have an idea of maybe where I need to tweak.
Yeah.
But it feels like control the controllables. Like I can control quite a
Well,
lot.
you just brought up a good point. I want to back up for a second before we get
Yeah.
into each of the channels that you kind of are talking about, because one thing that I think is really important to understand is, and I didn't understand this, Steven has a lot more experience in digital marketing and really even high volume outbound. Anytime you're going to allocate marketing budget, Steven, like, and you can explain this, there is no magic bullet in marketing, even in a specific industry. And so anybody that's telling you, I can guarantee that if you pay me this 50 grand, here's, from what I understand and what you've done in our business to generate a lot of leads, is it's all about test and retest. It's try multiple channels, make variations, and it's all about data. So it's like, hey, we're going to go spend these dollars here. How much are we recapturing in response and in leads and these metrics? And then what you're trying to do, if I understand this correctly, is you're really trying to build a scalable marketing machine. So you're saying, if I put $1 in, do I get $4 out here, $3 out here, and $2 out here? And so you're trying to say, hey, for whatever reason, this geo and these services and your ideal client profile may dictate you use XYZ channels and you allocate X number of chips to those channels, right? So isn't that the way you think about it? Right? When you're talking about building out marketing, if we're going to take 50K, it's not like dump it all in this, and it's like, hey, we're going to test, retest, we're going to take it slow. You're not going to burn through 50K in a month. Am I thinking about that right?
We're not at the casino, we're not putting it all in red. And so I do think that taking a methodical approach is important. Also on the test retest idea, markets change. Like what worked in 2024 for some paid ads campaign may absolutely light money on fire in 2026. So just because it worked last quarter or last year, you can't take that for granted. So it is kind of an endless test, retest, monitor, measure sort of thing. That's right. And so the other piece of that is attribution. And I won't get too technical. I can nerd out on attributing leads from channels, tying that back to, the kind of cost per lead, that type of thought process. But ultimately, you want to find ways to be able to attribute the leads you get from the different sources, your different channels you're spending on. So, coming through a Google campaign, it's very clear what leads are coming from that. If you run TV ads, you could maybe have a specific phone number. We have a bunch of like custom phone numbers we use for different purposes. So you could set up like a specific number that gets called. And so now you can kind of know maybe where that traffic's flowing from. Same thing from an SEO perspective on your site. You can pull all that through. It comes through this came through a form that was on our, commercial fire, page, something like that. You can pull that through and track it. So I do think that wherever you choose to spend money, ideally you have some way to pull through that attribution so that you can make it kind of like informed decisions the next month, the next quarter. All that's connected. So going back to paid media, there's different types. If you are listening and you're more in like a home services type of business, again, some of our friends are heavy or 100% residential alarm.
Yeah.
I think Google LSA, local service ads, is a great place to spend. You can't really spend endlessly. Like you can't spend as aggressively as you can on other types of campaigns
Mm-hmm.
or other types of ads. But Google LSA is a really nice place to be spending some money
Yeah.
and monitoring. Like you will get leads. You have to watch the cost per lead there because it can kind of get away from you, especially in competitive markets on competitive industries like roofing in Dallas. LSA is extremely expensive, as an example. So that's the point is there's different types of ads. There's different types of burden or like obligation depending on the channel. So you also have to know, hey, do we have talent internally to be able to pull this off? As you think about spending money,
Yeah.
do you have someone who actually is capable of designing creatives and then putting those campaigns up on Facebook or Instagram and monitoring? Like, or do maybe you need help? Like you need an outside agency that has a specific expertise. Like we've worked with agencies as well. So I think that's an element of all this is these different channels do require some degree of knowledge or experience typically, and you might kind of light money on fire if you're doing something that you have no clue what you're doing or hope this works.
Yeah.
That's not a good place to be. So be careful to not spend money without the necessary expertise in seat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the last thing I'll say on paid media is you have to know your gross margins. So you have to be really dialed from like a full funnel, like someone clicked, what's the click-through rate to a form, you got a lead, you call them, what do you convert, how many of those do you convert to a meeting, to a proposal, to a one job, what's the gross margin of that job?
So you're
you know
saying we need a CRM.
you need a CRM, you need to go like the next level or two down on the
Yeah.
math. So it's like, oh, you know what, we spent $4,000 on ads this month and we got a $10,000 job,
Yeah.
we won. Well, maybe
Yeah.
if you had a really low kind of GP on that project, you might have, lit a few grand on fire.
Right.
So there's context to it all and into how you would grade out the effectiveness of those campaigns over time.
Wouldn't you say with paid ads at least, it's a little bit more of a faster reaction time, so you're gonna get faster volume from your investment than
Yeah.
probably anything else that we're gonna talk about today? Maybe some outbound stuff, but, like, don't you think that's probably the fastest?
Yeah. If you are in a position of, I need leads as soon as possible, spending on paid ads is probably going to make the phone ring the fastest.
And I think that's important for folks to know, and
Hmm.
because that's just an option. Some people are in that place,
Yeah.
so it's good to have that on deck. Okay, so we spent some time on paid media. I think there's a lot of pros and cons there. I think if you're in the commercial space, tougher. Home
Yeah.
service better. Some industries easier than others. In the security alarm world, residential very competitive, commercial less competitive. Geo matters. Attribution is really important because it's going to help you define your cost, right? You're basically
Yeah.
looking at cost per lead. That's ultimately, I mean, there's a lot of metrics we'll look at, but the big one is what's our cost per lead?
Yeah.
And you're really trying to understand the kind of value of that. And then you're also saying, hey, you need to be thinking about how you're going to track these because you also, it doesn't just stop when the lead comes in the door and you get them a quote. You need to understand, are you closing that lead? It's like you could have thousands of leads come in, but if you're only closing one lead,
That's right.
is that the fault of the advertising channel or is that a fault of your own sales process? So there's a little bit of like things that have to be defined there. So paid ads is a place that
Yeah.
you would put some chips, but let's just ask anecdotally, how much of our 50K would you drop into that right now? Assuming we've got the CRM stood up and all that.
The other channels that I'll advocate for will like pull from the same budget, right? Because we're just playing off of a $50,000 pool, which is $4,250 a month.
Right.
Big math guy. Is that right? Or is it 4166? Whatever.
Hey, brother,
It's a
you
little
know that I
over.
can't do
It's a
math.
little over.
I'm offended that you think I
It's a
know that.
little over 4,000.
Okay,
Um,
sure. You could have said
so
6,000. I would have been like, yeah, totally.
I think that we'll get to SEO and some other like outbound things next. I would spend roughly half of the $50,000 on paid, but I would not think of it like over 12 months.
Yeah.
I would be spending that $25,000 probably in a period of 3 or 4 months, kind of in that, what is that, 6 to 8K a month, to
Yeah.
try to figure out if you can get enough momentum and enough jobs to
Because
make
it's not
that
a
math
perfect
work.
curve, right? It's kind of
No,
parabolic.
correct. But like if I can get to a point where I'm $1 in, $4 out,
Yeah.
that can justify me continuing to spend other dollars outside of my magical 50K that I was
Yeah.
given.
Right.
So I would say let's take half of it for running a really well thought out, well planned paid test.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's important. I think it's important that you defined how you would spend the time windows that you would spend that money. So I think that's great. Okay, next, where else? Well, like, what's bucket number two? Like, broadly speaking.
Yeah, bucket number 2 is the exact opposite. It's literally the inverse of what we just talked about, which is SEO. And my favorite way to think about SEO is building a long-term asset. So, um, investing dollars in SEO today, tomorrow, next month will not likely yield a lead in the next 60 or 90 days. But the work and the money spent now will produce a lead 6 months from now that you didn't spend a dollar on technically. And so
Yeah.
there is kind of a bit of a snowball effect, if done properly and well executed, that SEO can provide, that is this kind of evergreen asset that you're building. Now,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, there's a lot of changes happening in the world with AI and search volume going different places. I think for a long time, um, SEO was um, trying to, like, the core strategy was not related to answering a question. Um, it was more so just very information rich, very like,
Yeah.
what are my keywords? And I'm going to just
Hammer them.
do such a high volume of content on my site hitting these keywords that I will seem relevant.
Yeah.
Now, new search platforms like that is all about who has the best answer to a question. So, what you're trying to do then is develop content on your site that is answering questions that are likely being asked of your prospects. And that's
So give us
actually,
an example. Give us an example of that.
yeah. So, what type of fire alarm is needed in a elementary school?
Okay.
Could be a question that someone's searching.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the past, you might have tried to build out content for K through 12 fire alarm systems. And it was
Okay.
just information about those systems. It wasn't answering a question that someone likely is going to type in to try to
Yeah.
derive an answer that's
Yeah.
contextualized. So that may seem nuanced, but it actually radically changes how you build out content.
Mm-hmm.
I think both approaches are valuable. It's not one or the other, but the kind of the answer driven strategy is a newer type of thought. I think both are needed as you invest in SEO. But the nice thing is that because of technology, now I'm not going to say go use AI to write all your articles or something like that, but you can be so efficient. Or even if you work with an outside vendor, the cost of all that has commoditized quite a bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that a $5 million a year security business needs to spend $5,000 a month on SEO. I
Right.
think you're overspending. So, you know, that is a long-term approach. Build an asset. Be aware of the changes happening out in the world and how people are finding information, finding um, you know uh, potential vendors, right, that they want to utilize and partner with.
Yeah.
And I would take $700 a month
Mm.
for that solution. that
Okay.
you could start to really make an impact. So 7 times 12 is really hard. That's $8,000.
Yeah.
So
Sounds right.
I've got 17 grand left
Yeah.
ish,
Yeah.
in my budget. But I
Yeah.
think that, again, like it's start now
Yeah.
and just never stop.
It's like the old
And
adage about the tree. It's like best time to plant it was 20 years
yeah,
ago. Second best time is today type of
right now.
situation. You
Yep.
probably also say, I mean, you've told me this, so I'm going to take this from you. It's like typically the leads that come from SEO are better quality leads that are a little bit more
That's right.
reputation driven. They want to know that you have a reputation in this space, which, by the way, just my only caveat to this whole entire conversation about paid media and SEO, which I can contribute very little. I think that reputation is one of the things that really matters and does cross-pollinate with SEO, in that we spent a lot of time and money last year updating our website, but not just our website, all of our branding across our truck wraps, our sales collateral, our business
Yep.
cards, our email signatures, all of it to deliver a consistent experience for our customers so that it looked professional. That's really
Yep.
it. It was just like, hey, we wanted to establish a little bit of reputation with our customers by no matter what you like, even our PowerPoint decks all use the same
Yeah.
theme across all of it. And I think that matters. So last bucket, I think you said you had 3. High volume outbound.
Yes. Yeah. And different types. I'm going to just say cold outbound. And
Yeah.
I said earlier,
This is not your coffee drop targets.
no.
This is all new, really new logo hunting.
New logo. This is not engaging your current customers.
Yeah.
Direct mail would fit into this, technically speaking, unless you are mailing to your customers. If you're not inherently mailing to your customers, within this budget, like, I'm not going to use direct mail. Yeah. If I was purely residential, I might think about it more. It might be more of a consideration.
I agree.
Targeted zip codes, that sort of thing.
Yep.
But for this purpose and for this fun, thought experiment, I will exclude direct mail. And I'm going to spend my last $17,000 on cold outbound. So that looks like cold email and or cold calling, of which there are a multitude of vendors. You also could do all of that on your own, both of them, right? Like cold calling is maybe the most classic, kind of outbound, motion or strategy that there is. Cold email for a long time was scary. Like this, just like high volume. I got to use all these crazy software platforms. It feels really wonky. It feels scammy. It doesn't have to be like that. So within the remaining budget, you could do it all yourself and definitely fit your costs within the remaining budget of $50,000. If you were going to use someone else, like an outside, like third party, to do that, you probably have to pick one. Yeah. And I'll say,
depends what you're trying to do.
Correct. But within this budget, you probably have to pick one if you're partnering with a vendor. So what I would do is I would maybe hire a vendor on the cold email side. Yeah. And I would run the cold calling internally.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So that's what I would do. But I know you like cold too.
Yeah, I do. I have changed my mind around that a little bit. I have always been very opinionated about the way that sales cycles are run. And what I've had to realize a little bit is, on the new logo side, volume matters a lot, and controlling the experience matters less than just the volume behind it. So, there are companies, we use them, that are fantastic at doing really phenomenal outbound email and cold calling campaigns to set leads. And in an original Collin, 5 years ago, Collin would have said, I want to manage all that in-house. I want to use our tech stack and our people. Yeah. And I think it's really hard to do that. I would say I could stand it up. Give me the $50K and I could figure out how to do it really effectively. but I would need that whole budget. And I would need a lot of time to do training and finding the right people. And so I think that you're probably your best investment is somebody that does this with repeatability. And I think that in the modern digital marketing era, person to person communication that's as personalized as you can possibly get it is going to result in the best outcomes. I
Yeah.
also like layering in mixed media. So like adding in a video, a Loom video, doing something like that.
Same.
I would say that's not super high volume, but I like that. I like that play. And I think that what that means is if the vendor is going to go outbound to, let's just say, 10,000 contacts, you are going to probably define your ideal client profile, and you're going to have a lot of say around the messaging of what is being said, but you are not going to really see the lead list. They're gonna vet that. The vendor is gonna make sure that the emails are as accurate as possible, and then you're gonna get served up leads. And your job and responsibility is to handle those leads, and then from there you manage that experience. And we
Yeah.
have found that that is successful, and that is a key part of our strategy. Um, and and I think that I would, if this were me, I would probably spend a lot more money on SEO and high volume outbound and less money on paid ads. Steven is way more versed in this, so his opinion is ultimately the one we go with. But I do think that high volume outbound matters, and I think it works, and I think that it, I think there's a lot of good ways to do it, and I think it's highly vendor dependent. So I would say if you need help with that, give us a shout,
Yeah.
and we can kind of point you in some right directions. Nothing's guaranteed, by the way. Your market may not respond. The lead lists for your ideal client profile may be tough. You may be going after small businesses and they're like no, or you may really want enterprise and they just don't respond well. So it's just like you have to kind of get a little flexible on targets, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point that um some of these channels are better for certain types of targets.
Yeah.
And so I won't go into too much granularity, but you can imagine that um, having some really specific content for a very
Mm-hmm.
specific need for an enterprise client where they read a case study and watch a video on
Yep.
your site might pull through an enterprise client better than randomly cold calling someone in a 5,000 person org.
That's a great segue. So I think we've kind of defined where we'd put the chips and where we put the categories. And I think ultimately the takeaway for me is, hey, if you're going to do this, you got to do it in chunks, and it's not perfectly linear. You're not just going to spend $700 a month on paid ads. You may spend, especially, I would say paid ads and email, high volume email or high volume outbound. You're going to layer a lot more of dollars in early
Yeah,
and upfront over a 2, 3, 4 month period. And then on your and that's really in a way to kind of like volume matters. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but also it's going to help you determine, hey, is this working for us? Is this something we
right.
want to keep reinvesting in? And then SEO is sort of like that drip on the faucet. You're going to kind of commit to it, and you're going to commit to it forever. And we see a lot. The biggest mistake you can do is turn it off after 7 months, because
Mm,
you lit your money on fire,
yeah,
and you are guaranteed to not like. So get ready, commit. I would even think, can I just prepay this vendor for the SEO and get a
yeah, sure.
discount and get it out of my mind and just know that I've invested in this particular thing. Um, so yeah, Steven, leave us with some closing thoughts or homework or anything, because I think that this is a concept we get asked about a lot. And it's a lot of
Yeah.
folks are like, hey, we're new in digital marketing. Like, where are you seeing your best returns? And so the answer is it depends on your business, which stinks. But anybody that doesn't say it depends is probably selling you snake oil. And so I think that, who you are matters in terms of your business go to market.
Yeah. My last thoughts are don't spend money that you don't know how to manage
Mm,
from an expertise perspective on certain channels.
yeah.
So if you know you don't know, and you know that no one on your team knows how to do this, like I encourage you to get an external, partner in the
Hmm.
mix. And then as a follow up to that, if you work with agencies or vendors, you have to hold them accountable
Yeah.
because no one's perfect. You can't just expect that they are going to be 100.0% amazing. So
Yeah.
you have to hold your vendors accountable, just like any other vendor, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then, don't overspend too fast.
Yep.
If you decide, hey, we're going to run this budget, like be methodical, be purposeful, ask other, operators, reach out to us, like just confirm that, what you're doing, kind of get some advice from others before you go spend a significant amount of money and regret it. Because I have seen so many people light tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on fire after some strategy that like a buddy on a golf trip told them is amazing.
Yeah.
And they didn't really take the time to ensure that it was going to go well.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think that's great. If anybody has any questions or they want to get connected, hit us up on info@entryandexit.co and just say, yo, Steven. That's all you really need to say. Or you can leave it in the comments. So we check all the comments. If you put it in the comments, we'll reach out and respond to that. We really appreciate that. Which reminds me, if you wouldn't mind engaging with our content, liking and subscribing and doing all the things that every podcast host ever asks you to do, because it actually really matters and means a lot to us. And also we really like it when people email us and tell us what things they want to hear about, because we're always trying to think about what's good, engaging content. So yeah, let us know. Thanks for listening. We hope you have a fantastic week. Thanks.